Imagine your next masterpiece is ready to go. You've poured your heart and soul into it. You've worked with editors and beta readers to perfect the text. The cover is beautifully designed. The ebook works on every device. But something's missing. Now, it's not the most exciting detail, but without it, your book will quite literally be lost in literary space, hurling ever further into the great abyss. That detail is an ISBN. ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. It's a 13-digit number that identifies a book, but not just the book, the particular edition and format of the book. For example, here I have two different editions of George Orwell's 1984. One is published by Signet Classics, and the other is published by Penguin. They're the same book, really, the same text on the inside, but they're published by two different publishers, which means they both need different ISBNs, even though they're both trade paperbacks at a similar trim size, very different covers, but beyond that, they're all basically identical on the inside. You might be wondering what kinds of publications require an ISBN. I get this question all the time. Does my book really need an ISBN? And most of the time, my answer is a resounding yes. But there is a more nuanced response. Any book-length publication, whether it's a print book or an ebook or an audiobook, needs an ISBN. However, if you've written, say, a long PDF document that you offer as a free download on your website, that doesn't necessarily need an ISBN. According to the official rules at ISBN.org, any work intended for monographic publication requires an ISBN. What that means is that any standalone book project published as a book requires an ISBN. If you're publishing a series or serial publication, like a magazine, for example, you'll need an ISSN, which stands for International Standard Serial Number. And if you're publishing a musical score, sheet music, songbooks, and so on, you'll need an ISMN, or International Standard Music Number. So that settles what type of publication gets an ISBN, but how deep does this really go? Do you give every edition of your book the same ISBN simply because it shares the same text on the inside, the same content, the same writing, the same author? No, you don't. Every different edition of your book requires a different ISBN. So here's a common predicament. Let's say you have a book that's already published, and you already have an ISBN assigned for that book. Do you need a separate ISBN for the new print run? Not necessarily. A new run of the exact same book does not require a new ISBN, as long as everything remains exactly the same. Here's the quick rundown. You need to assign a new ISBN if you're changing any content within the book, no matter the change, even if it's something as simple as changing the chapter titles, changing the format of the book. Say if you're releasing a softcover edition after a limited run of hardcover books, even if you changed nothing in that text, that format change requires a new ISBN. This means that every different edition of your book, whether it's a paperback or large print edition, hardcover, ebook, or audiobook, will each require their own ISBNs. Changing the trim size of your book will also require a new ISBN. Even if you change nothing else with the content of the book, with the interior pages, as long as you're changing any aspect of the format, you will need a new ISBN. There is one strange exception though, and that's changes to the cover. A cover redesign does not constitute a new edition or a new version of the book. It's simply a cosmetic change on the outside. That might seem like a major change because that is, for all intents and purposes, the first thing that someone will encounter when they see your book. However, it doesn't require a new ISBN necessarily because the content is the same, and provided that the trim size is the same, all is well. However, if your cover redesign accompanies a new edition or a major update, that's a different story, and a new ISBN would certainly apply. So now that you understand what type of publication needs an ISBN and what formats require different ISBNs, how do you actually get an ISBN? This depends on where you're publishing from. So if you're in Canada, like me, you're in luck. ISBNs are completely free through Library and Archives Canada. All you have to do is create a free account and request as many ISBNs as you need. If you're in the United States, ISBNs are issued through Bowker. And the current prices as of this recording are $125 for one ISBN and $295 for a block of 10. If you're a very prolific author, you might consider getting 100 ISBNs for $575. But for most authors, that's a little bit excessive, but good for you if it's not. And then in the United Kingdom, ISBNs are issued by Nielsen at £93 for one ISBN, £174 for 10 ISBNs, or £387 for 100, and that's including sales tax. If you plan to publish more than one format or more than one book, buying a block of ISBNs makes far more sense financially, and it saves you from having to reorder later. For example, if you were to order your ISBNs from Boker in the United States, the block of 10 ISBNs costs just about as much as 2.5 single ISBNs. So it really just makes sense to do that. If you're going to be doing a softcover edition and an ebook edition, and then maybe a hardcover edition or an audiobook, there's 3 or 4 ISBNs right there already. So you may as well get that block of 10. It really just makes the most sense. One thing to keep in mind is that online retailers like Amazon KDP will offer a free ISBN for uploading your book to their websites. This may work for some authors, but generally I advise against using Amazon's ISBN. In some cases, it can list Amazon as the publisher of record on your ISBN, not you. And you want to maintain as much control over the publishing process as possible. And one great way to do that is to get your own ISBNs. Now, one more distinction worth making is that ISBN is not copyright. It's very different from copyright. An ISBN number identifies the product, not the content. Copyright protects your work, while ISBN helps others find and catalog it. An ISBN is like your book's postal code or zip code. It tells every bookstore, distributor, or library exactly where to find your book and what the edition is, all the major details of it, but doesn't say anything about the content of the book itself. And there you go. That's a quick rundown on ISBNs. You see how easy self-publishing is when you just jump in and acquaint yourself with these terms without fear? That's my goal with this channel and with my work at large. I'm trying to demystify the self-publishing process so that more authors can publish their books confidently and all on their own terms. If you'd like hands-on support from a trusted self-publishing professional, visit folioprint.com today. Schedule a free consultation and we'll chat about your book. Thanks for watching.